I received a notification informing me that my wife, Clara, had reserved a table for us at a restaurant for Valentine's Day. It completely caught me off guard since I usually handle the arrangements every year, but by the evening, all I got was a text saying she had to pull a late shift. Not long after, I came across a post from her junior, Leo, on WeChat. Only a thoughtful sister would know how to pamper someone like that. A swanky restaurant, a sweet dude. The caption continued, "The cake tonight was sweet, but not as sweet as your lips." The picture showed him and Clara in a cozy pose with the necklace I had given her that morning hanging around her neck. On the table was the wine I had gifted her previously. I might have lost my temper and confronted Clara harshly, but this time I was just exhausted. When Clara walked in, I was munching on a mango. She is allergic to mangoes, just a little, and she breaks out in hives. So for years, we did not even have mango ice cream at home. Clara looked surprised to see me still awake, acting completely relaxed. She handed me the gift she had prepared and said flatly, "Happy Valentine's, babe." I have to admit she is a great wife. She does not just take, she puts in effort, like that fancy Rolex I got this year. I had received a message from the restaurant owner on Valentine's Day saying Clara had reserved a table. The owner has been our buddy since college and witnessed our entire love story, so he is like a friend to us. I had confessed my feelings and proposed to Clara at his place. He joked on the phone, calling himself single while congratulating us, then asked if I wanted to try their new cake tonight. I asked, "Does the cake have mango? If so, let's stick to the usual. Thanks, but Clara is allergic to mango." Right after I hung up, Clara called. "I have to work late tonight. Cannot hang out this evening." That night, I could not sleep, so I scrolled through my phone and saw the post from her junior, Leo. Only a thoughtful sister knows how to pamper someone. A fancy restaurant, a sweet dude. The cake tonight was sweet, but not as sweet as your lips. The picture showed him and Clara in a cozy pose, his hand loosely around her waist, his smile gentle and somewhat flirty. On the table was the wine I had given Clara, and around her neck was the necklace I gave her that morning. I immediately recognized the restaurant, the one that means so much to Clara and me. Leo was holding the dessert the owner recommended. The cake had layers filled with mango puree. When Clara sat down to eat with me, she frowned and said, "Why is there mango?" I had seen Leo's post. I knew he was messing with me on purpose, but I was too tired. I did not want to question Clara or argue anymore. I stared at my phone screen and suddenly craved mango. I ordered delivery, and soon fresh-cut mango was in my hands. It tasted sweet with a bit of tartness, a perfect balance. I have always loved eating it, but since being with Clara, I had not had any. After finishing, I wiped my hands and said, "I am heading to bed, if there is nothing else." Clara grabbed my arm and said, "Ethan, it is Valentine's. What is up?" I looked at her confused and asked, "So what?" Her frown deepened as she moved closer. In a teasing voice, she whispered in my ear, "On a night like this, are you really going to hit the sack so early?" Clara always had that cool, distant vibe. After college, once she put on glasses, her intellectual charm made her seem even more aloof. But tonight, I smelled a faint scent of smoke on her. I stepped back, dodging her kiss, and said, "I just ate mango. You will have an allergic reaction." I ignored Clara's shocked look and headed to the bedroom, locking the door behind me. Lying in bed, my phone rang. It was my boss. "Have you decided to take the position? If you bail on me again because of Clara, I swear I will kill you." "I am not kidding." I laughed and replied, "I won't back out again. If I do, I will come find you myself." The job in the company's advertising department pays more, but requires constant travel. 3 years ago, my boss wanted me for the role, but I turned it down for Clara. We have known each other for over a decade and grew up together. I always knew she was a traditional woman who cares about details and boundaries. Being away all the time, maybe seeing her only 30 days a year and not knowing when we would meet again, that instability was too much for her. I had her take the MBTI test once. She did not understand why, but she did it and showed me her result. ISTJ, reserved, traditional, serious, disciplined, orderly. That is Clara. Holding her hand took me over half a year. In middle and high school, my friends thought she was incredibly boring and did not understand why I liked her. I told them it was because she saved my life, literally. Back in middle school, an earthquake hit our school. We were in class, and everyone panicked. Outside, I rushed ahead, hit a desk leg hard, and fell. She pushed through the crowd, fighting the current to find me, made sure I walked in front, and followed me as we ran out together. Later, I asked her, "What were you thinking? If you died, wouldn't all your dreams and hard work be for nothing?" Clara was stunned. She said, "I wasn't thinking much, just that if I couldn't make it, I'd rather die with you." Clara probably never imagined that one day she would leave me for someone else. I never doubted her sincerity, but sincerity fades. My boss must have sensed something between me and Clara from my tone. She said, "Who hasn't messed up? It is easier to blame past mistakes than fix them. Ethan, I hope you always have the courage to turn things around when needed." Then she added, "Of course, someone as perfect as me never makes mistakes. You, on the other hand, aren't as perfect, so it is understandable. But no matter what, even if you lose the woman, don't lose the job. You start in 3 days with a business trip to Argentina right away, no half-heartedness." The next day, I woke up early to go to the office and hand over my current work. Clara was in the living room, her lips slightly swollen from her mango allergy, probably from Leo kissing her after eating the mango cake last night. I walked past her, heading for the door, but she grabbed my wrist. She frowned, looking a bit defiant, and asked, "Why are you mad? Is it because I didn't spend time with you yesterday? I already told you I was busy and had to work late. I even let you know I would be home late. The company is going public. As a woman, do you have any idea how hard it has been for me to climb to management? So many eyes on me. How could I not set an example? You always said you would support my career. Why act like this now?" Yeah, that is how it has always been. I love her, so I tolerate her. Even when she was so busy she did not know I was in the hospital and could not reach her by phone. I never said a word. Until one day, I picked her up from work and her phone rang while she was doing her eyebrows. She immediately put down her half-finished makeup and sweetly answered someone else's call. That was the first time I heard her mention Leo's name. It was also the first time I realized she was not too busy to take calls. She was not the reserved, distant woman who kept boundaries with men. It was just that I was not the person she thought was worth showing those feelings for. I pulled my hand away and calmly said, "That is enough, Clara. We are done." Before I could finish, her phone rang. She glanced at the screen and gave me an apologetic look. Leo's boyish voice came through. "Sis, come pick me up. It is so cold today, don't want to get out of bed. If you don't, you can't dock my pay if I am late." Clara's expression softened almost unconsciously. She said, "You scared of the cold? The same guy who climbs snowy mountains at night? All right, Leo, get up. You are bringing me breakfast today, remember?" I let out a sarcastic laugh. On the other end, Leo seemed to sense something. "All right, tell Henry thanks from me. Yesterday, I not only ate at his restaurant, but also borrowed one of his people too. I will definitely work hard and send him a great gift in the future." Clara gave me a guilty glance when she heard Leo's words, then quickly looked away, her fingers instinctively pressing the volume down on her phone. You really cannot help but laugh when things get like this. I shook my head and turned to leave, but heard Clara quickly reject Leo and catch up to me. Yesterday, Leo had a client dinner but forgot to book a restaurant, so I gave him my reservation. It was all business, you get it, right? I stared at her in silence. Spending Valentine's Day with a client. Did she not find that odd? Clara probably did not realize it, but whenever she lies or gets nervous, she unconsciously grips her wedding ring. But it did not take long before Leo called her again. She left, citing food poisoning or some excuse. It did not matter. It was not the first time. This winter was unusually cold. Snow blocked the roads, and no delivery was available. I wanted Clara to make me some porridge, but I saw her put on her coat and say, "Leo has no food at home. I am going to his place to cook something for him." I froze, not knowing whether to ask about her relationship with Leo or why she needed to cook for another guy, but Clara did not let me ask. She hurried out the door, not even noticing me curled up on the couch feeling unwell. This was so different from our high school days. Back then, if I showed any stress or skipped meals, she would scold me coldly. But during an emergency, she would pull out a steaming bowl of rice cakes like magic. "Eat up. You are only making things worse. If I don't take care of you, you are always causing me trouble." When I got to the office, my boss dumped a mountain of paperwork on my desk. Handle it all within 3 days or face the consequences. I worked late into the night, and when I checked my phone, I saw a draft of divorce papers sent by the lawyer. So, in the middle of the snowstorm, I took a cab straight to Clara's office building. But when I reached her floor, the power went out. I frowned and turned on my phone's flashlight. At that moment, I got a message from a colleague with a link. His tone was hesitant. "Isn't this the heavy metal band concert you've always wanted to go to?" Confused, I clicked the link. It took me to the poster's homepage. It was Leo's account. It chronicled all his moments with Clara. It turns out he had known Clara since high school, followed her to college, and now worked at her company. His bio read, "Being head over heels for her isn't just your privilege." I clicked on the video and suddenly understood why my colleague was hesitant. In the video, concert lights flashed over Leo and Clara's faces. They were holding hands and kissing passionately in the crowd. My phone slipped and crashed to the ground. Rage filled my chest. Clara and I had been together most of our lives, practically our entire existence. But despite that, I still found Clara so unfamiliar. It felt like I had never really known her. From her office came soft sobs. Clara choked out, "I am sorry, but we really cannot." A male voice responded, I just like you. What did I do wrong?" The guy wrapped his arms around her waist, gently stroking her tear-streaked face. Leo kissed Clara's tear-stained cheek, sadness in his eyes. I watched as his hand slid up from her waist to the back of her head. Then in the darkness, they shared a long, lingering kiss. Bang! The power came back on, and the lights flooded the room. They finally saw me standing at the door. Leo said, "Ethan, it is not what it looks like. I am just too in love with her. It is not Clara's fault." Clara looked dazed when she saw me, her lips slightly parted, still glistening with moisture. "Ethan, why are you here?" I looked at her calmly, then walked over to Leo with a smile, but the next second, I slammed my fist into his face. Before he could fall, I grabbed him by the collar, pulling him closer, and glared at him viciously. "This punch is for your pathetic face. I've met a lot of females, pretentious coquettes, but never a male one until now. Makes me sick." He opened his mouth to argue, but I threw a right hook into his stomach, the force driving through him, making him double over in pain and collapse. Clara snapped out of it, about to speak. Smack! I backhanded her across the face. She clutched her cheek, tears filling her eyes, looking hurt. I coldly removed my wedding ring, tossing it at her like trash. When it hit her, she finally began to sob. Worthless tears streamed down her swollen cheeks. Her voice rose. "Ethan, don't do this. Please just listen to me." But I cut her off, handing her the printed divorce papers. "Clara, we are getting a divorce." Clara, ignoring all dignity, chased me downstairs from the office. "Ethan, please listen to me. It's not what you think." Half the building was watching. Embarrassed, I flagged down a cab, ready to leave amid the falling snow. Clara pressed against the car door, not letting me close it. Her expression was almost pleading as she said, "There really is nothing between us. He's just a kid. Doesn't know any better." I sneered. "He's not grown up yet, so you're just teaching him how to kiss in advance." My tone was flat. She looked at me, eyes red like staring at a ship that was never coming back. She choked out, "Don't look at me like that. Ethan, we've been together over 10 years. I can't live without you. Leo was just an accident." Her voice grew quieter, but then someone called out from behind her. "Clara, Leo has gone up to the rooftop. Come quick." She let go and turned to run into the building. I let out a derisive laugh and slammed the car door shut without hesitation. In the rearview mirror, I saw Clara take a few steps after me, but she stopped, turning back to run into the building. I closed my eyes once the anger faded. The stabbing pain in my chest hit me. The driver glanced at me through the mirror. "Hey kid, you all right?" I wiped my face, turned away, and stayed silent. Back home, I started packing up my stuff. Not long after, both Clara's parents and my parents called me. I thought bitterly, Clara sure is busy. She has to calm Leo down from jumping off a building. But she still has time to inform both sets of parents to play peacemakers. Clara and I had been together for over 10 years. Our entanglement was deeper and harder to break than most couples. In the end, all my parents said was, "Son, we just hope every decision you make is for your own happiness." I finally finished packing everything and opened the door, only to meet Clara's devastated face. Clara looked dejected, like a kid caught doing something wrong. She trembled, reaching out to hold my hand. Ethan, don't go. Please don't leave. I can explain everything. I stared at her calmly. Suddenly, she broke down. I'm begging you, hit me, scold me. Do whatever you want. Just don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. She pressed down on my suitcase, trying to keep me from leaving. Ethan, we promised to grow old together. Our parents are expecting us to go back to the city for the new year this year. You can't leave me now. Mom and Dad miss you so much. I sighed and asked, what do you want, Clara? She nearly collapsed to her knees, hugging my leg, her tears soaking through my clothes. Sobbing uncontrollably, she pleaded, please give me another chance. I promise I'll do better. I didn't respond. My eyes fell on the old college graduation photo that had fallen out while I was packing. That is when I noticed in that picture, it was not just Clara and me. Leo was there too, standing in the distance under a tree, staring at Clara. And Clara's gaze was not on me. It had passed over me to meet his. So it had started that early, had it? I thought those moments belonged only to Clara and me, but there was always a third person in the background. Clara trembled, unable to lift her head to meet my gaze, like a criminal awaiting a death sentence. To her surprise, I softly said, all right. She looked up at me in disbelief, her eyes lighting up with hope. Really, Ethan? You're willing to start over with me? After thinking for a moment, I nodded and unexpectedly said, sure, on one condition. Remember how we planned to take a trip to the islands back in high school? All these years we never made it. I want us to take a 5-day vacation to the islands. How about that? Clara immediately agreed. She threw herself into my arms, murmuring, it's that simple. Yeah, it's that simple. But I knew she could not really follow through. Thinking it over, Clara being attracted to Leo was not all that surprising. She had spent her entire life following family rules, living cautiously from her hometown to the capital, from education to marriage. Even having a childhood sweetheart as her husband, her future was like a peaceful, well-paved road laid out ahead. But when life is too calm for too long, it is inevitable to crave excitement. Leo was like a cold soda on a scorching summer day, rebellious, adventurous. He would take her on night hikes up snow-covered mountains, stay up all night at concerts, and kiss her at sunrise by the sea. No matter how reserved someone is, it is hard not to get swept up in such an intense, passionate pursuit. Clara said that after our vacation, she would stick by my side every day and would not let me get tired of her. It was like she was scared I might change my mind, so she watched me closely all the time. Usually, I would plan our vacations, but this time was different. Clara took charge, eagerly organizing every detail of our trip to the islands. It seemed like she was genuinely excited about finally taking the trip we had never had. Meanwhile, I scrolled through social media, bored. Leo would post something every day, practically torturing himself, dissecting his feelings for Clara. I lowered my eyes and watched coldly. Today he could not hold back and posted something raw. The person she loves is me. I could not help but laugh. I posted something in response. From now on, I'll be living on the islands with my wife. The past is like yesterday, dead and gone. Today is a new beginning. The past is smoke. I just want to hold your hand from now on. Leo finally could not contain himself and asked to meet with me at the cafe. He gritted his teeth and asked, after everything, you're still going to forgive her? You're really going to stay with her? I smiled but said nothing. He angrily spat out, you're really leaving? Really moving to the islands? Why hasn't she said anything to me? I threw the visa my boss had expedited for me onto the table in front of him. Half joking, I said, Clara and I have been together for over 10 years. She begged me to give her another chance. I told him if she could drop everything and leave with me, I would forgive her. Of course, he gratefully agreed. I smiled, but there was no warmth in my eyes. Leo, furious, said, that's impossible. I've done so much for her. She told me she loves me. He was seething with anger, but beneath it, I could hear the pain in his voice. I stared at him coldly. Leo really knew how to hit where it hurt. He stole Clara away on Valentine's Day, messaged me to reveal their relationship, and even let me catch them kissing, all to make me give up on Clara and leave her. But he did not realize my place in Clara's heart was deeper than he thought. His schemes had all backfired on him. Leo, enraged, lunged at me, but what threat could a little guy like him pose? I easily blocked him, poured my coffee over his head, then, without giving him time to react, slapped him hard enough to knock him to the ground. I crouched down, grabbed his hair, and forced him to look up. Smiling, I said, "Pathetic. You're really serious about loving Clara? Too bad for you. You didn't really think she loves you." Looking at his face full of frustration and resentment, I had to fight the urge to vomit. I emphasized once more, if Clara really left with me, I'd forgive her and we'd live happily together. But if she didn't go, I'd never forgive her. Leo's expression kept changing. I smiled, knowing he understood. At the airport, Clara anxiously checked her phone, lips tightly pursed. "Ethan, this time is different. Leo was in a car accident. It's really serious. Can we postpone the trip to the islands?" Leo was certainly willing to go all out. I stared silently at her, my eyes tracing every contour of her face. Suddenly I said, "I know why you didn't come to that concert with me that night." Clara froze, lips twitching, trying to force a smile, but failing. She said, "That night was Leo's birthday. He invited me. I couldn't turn him down." I laughed. "That was my favorite band since I was a teenager. On my birthday that year, you kept pestering me, asking what my wish was. I told you I hoped to make enough money to see them live. You got mad and asked why my wish didn't involve taking you with me." I paused. "And my birthday wish at 18 was to see their concert with you. Don't you remember? I was at that concert that night. I just didn't know that my wife was in the crowd kissing someone else. I even sent her a message during the concert reminding her to eat something. It disappeared into the void without a single response." Clara began to panic, her voice rising, trying to make up for something. "There will be other chances." I cut her off. "There won't be. That was their farewell concert. There won't be another one." I looked her in the eyes and repeated, "There won't be another one." We stood in silence for a moment. Then I suddenly relaxed, waving her off. "Go ahead. He's been in an accident and you're his supervisor. It'd look bad if you didn't go. As for the islands," I smiled, meeting her gaze, "we'll just go next time." Clara looked like she had been given a reprieve. She rushed out of the airport, braving the snow and rain to catch a cab to Leo's side. I tore up the plane ticket in my hand and threw the pieces in the trash. Then I printed a new ticket, destination, Argentina. When Clara woke up, she found herself lying in a man's arms. The man was gently kissing her face. Something felt off. She widened her eyes. It was not Ethan. Yesterday she rushed to the hospital only to find that Leo's car accident was a lie. She was angry at first, but then he tearfully said, "Clara, I've loved you for so many years. One last time, can't you just stay with me? One last time." A voice inside her head kept pulling her to leave. Ethan must be furious by now. They had known each other since childhood, grown up together. They had been married for 7 years. Everything was perfect. She could not leave Ethan. But Leo, his eyes red-rimmed, gently stroked her cheek. "How could you turn me away? I love you so much." Clara suddenly felt a sinking feeling in her heart, like a premonition. When you are about to lose something important, there is always an almost instinctive sense of dread, like falling in a dream from a tall building in the middle of the night. Without reason, she thought of Ethan's expression when he waved to her at the airport yesterday, nostalgic yet resolute, as if he was saying goodbye. She nearly jumped out of bed to grab her phone. "Leo, what's wrong?" But her phone was dead. Her heart pounded as she watched the black screen waiting for it to charge, as if she could burn a hole into it with her stare. Her panic-stricken expression startled Leo. Finally, the phone powered back on. A call came in, and the voice on the other end was shouting. Clara was stunned. It was her mother yelling at her. It took Clara a while to understand what was happening. Apparently, Ethan had compiled evidence of her affair with Leo into a PowerPoint presentation, complete with a 320 megabytes attachment, and sent it to all their family, friends, and colleagues. The final slide had Ethan's typical touch, a photoshopped picture of her and Leo's wedding with a handwritten note that said, "Let's wish this pair of cheaters a lifetime of childless, everlasting happiness." After hanging up, she opened her messages and saw that Ethan had only left her a picture of the divorce papers with a single note. "On the desk in the study, sign it and send it to my office." She drove like a madwoman, running red lights all the way home. This winter was exceptionally cold, and rain and snow had turned the roads slick. She skidded several times, nearly crashing. The driver of a car she almost hit rolled down their window to yell at her despite the weather, but it was as if she was in a daze, unable to hear anything. All she could think about was getting home, finding Ethan. He was so soft-hearted. He loved her so much. There had to be a chance to fix this. No time to wait. Ethan had to be furious by now. But when she finally got home, she found the house empty. Ethan had packed up almost everything and taken it with him. She remembered how, when they were preparing for the island trip, she had teased him about packing so much and joked, "It's not like we're never coming back." Ethan had only smiled and said nothing in return. Her heart filled with a dull, suffocating pain. So that was it. He had been planning to leave her all along. No, that could not be. They had been together most of their lives, practically their entire existence. She could not live without Ethan, and Ethan could not live without her either. If she had just apologized sincerely and made things right, he would forgive her just like he always did. After all, he had once said they were meant to be together since childhood. But when she reached Ethan's office, his cold-faced boss ordered security to throw her out. When she finally managed to contact one of Ethan's colleagues, even they treated her with disdain. She spent days trying to track him down, only to learn that Ethan had taken the new position. He was now traveling for work, flying from one place to another with no known return date. How ridiculous! His wife had to go to such lengths just to learn a little about his whereabouts. Clara slowly realized it seemed like Ethan had been leaving her little by little for some time now. Her message thread with him no longer had those playful, emoji-filled chats. Now every message she sent him returned with a red exclamation mark. She looked at his social media. All traces of their relationship had been erased. The only thing left was a reposted quote. "When did you decide to break up?" "When you realized that your future would be as long and suffocating as every day is now. I just want to live happily." After finishing business, I set aside some time to explore Argentina. This country, 22,000 kilometers from home, was in the middle of summer. The sun bathed the land, casting a golden veil over everything. In the streets of Buenos Aires, tango dancers twirled in the sunset, and the air was filled with a mix of European elegance and Latin American passion. At the invitation of a business partner, I traveled to Mendoza. The vineyards thrived under the summer sun, stretching out like a vast green sea of vines basking in the sunlight. It felt like the cold winter had been completely driven away. As I sipped a glass of Malbec wine, Clara's call came through. Her voice was hoarse as she asked, "Ethan, where are you?" I took a sip of the wine and thought about where Argentina was on the map. I replied, "On the other side of the world." "What do you want?" "If you've signed the divorce papers, send them to my office. If not, don't bother calling." Clara was silent. As I was about to hang up, she suddenly said, "I'm sorry." It was like a floodgate opened, her sobs crossing oceans to reach me. Her voice was filled with helplessness and pain, like a child abandoned in a crowded store. "Ethan, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Tell me what to do, and I'll do anything you say. 20 years. We've been together for over 20 years. Can you really just let it go? How can you be so heartless?" I smiled to myself. She must have heard my laugh because she suddenly froze. Her sobbing stopped. In a panic, she asked, "Ethan, why are you laughing?" I exhaled, looking down, and said, "You're always like this, Clara. You're always so sure that I love you. So sure that if you just show me your pain and act pathetic, I'll feel sorry for you. But Clara, have you ever thought, I don't love you anymore?" The next time I returned home to the city, it was New Year's Eve. The problem with childhood sweethearts is that they know each other too well. As the family gathered for the festive reunion dinner, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find a haggard-looking Clara standing there. She looked even thinner than before, her hair unkempt, hanging loosely over a worn-out beige sweater. She looked desolate and helpless. The PowerPoint I made had completely destroyed her and Leo's reputation within their social circles. Maybe there was some justice in that. Ever since, Clara had been on a downward spiral. People who once supported her, seeing her true character, shook their heads and withdrew their help. That was just part of the gossip I overheard at dinner. As for me, I hadn't spoken to her since that last phone call. The streets were filled with the warm glow of homes, and fireworks lit up the sky in the distance. Clara looked at me, her face filled with despair, but there was still a glimmer of hope in her eyes. She spoke. "Every year, we've always spent New Year's Eve together. Ethan, I love you. I really can't live without you." I looked at her, and suddenly I remembered the younger version of her sneaking out on New Year's Eve, cheeks flushed just to give me a red string bracelet she'd woven herself. I thought seeing her again would hurt, But to my surprise, I felt nothing at all. These past months flying all over the world, the different landscapes I'd seen had slowly but surely filled my heart. The sound of fireworks marked the end of the year. The long, cold winter was finally over. A new year was about to begin. I said, Clara, don't do this. It's New Year's. Seeing you like this makes me feel sick. Clara's face turned deathly pale. I closed the door. When my parents asked who it was, I just shook my head and said, no one. Then I dove back into the warmth of the family dinner, fighting for the last piece of beef in the hot pot. Laughter filled the room, everyone in high spirits. It was wonderful. I still had my family. Under the so-called brilliant leadership of my boss, my career was thriving. I quickly adapted to the life of constant travel. Whenever I arrived in a new place, I'd send a postcard back home. My mom, having picked up some internet slang, now called me her travel frog. This time I was in Japan. My mom worried over the phone. Son, be careful. I heard Japan has a lot of earthquakes. I took a big bite of the mango bread I just bought, walking toward the fireworks festival. Japan truly was a fascinating country, once modeled itself after much of our culture, but now it had its own distinct melancholic and quietly romantic essence. Under the canopy of a summer night, the Japanese fireworks festival was like a dazzling dream. The fireworks exploded in the night sky like countless shining stars, burning brightly for a moment, turning the darkness into day. I looked up, momentarily forgetting to breathe. Snapping out of it, I smiled and said to my mom over the phone, earthquakes aren't that common. But as luck would have it, Japan's meteorological agency issued an unprecedented warning. Nankai Trough earthquake temporary information, attention to large earthquakes. All flights back were fully booked by the time the news reached home. I had gone off the grid. My mom was so frantic she started praying to gods, lighting incense at midnight to ask for my safety. Clara heard the news and silently booked a flight to Japan. Leo was still by her side at the time. He'd lost his job and been blacklisted in the industry. He and Clara were locked in a toxic relationship, torturing each other. He said, don't be stupid. Even if you go, Ethan won't forgive you. Don't you understand? But Clara refused to listen. In their struggle, unable to break free, Clara grabbed a kettle from the table and smashed it over Leo's head. Blood poured from his forehead. He screamed like a madman. He doesn't love you. Don't you get it? He never loved you. I'm the only one who loves you, Clara. I'm the only one who loves you. But all Clara left him with was her back. Thankfully, I made it back to the country without any major incidents, though my return flight had been delayed. Before the plane took off, my broken phone strangely received a call from an unknown number, but with the flight attendants urging me to switch it off, I hung up and shut it down. Once I got home, I reassured my family that I was safe and went straight to work. That strange call slipped my mind until Leo showed up outside my office building. He was no longer the proud, confident man he once was. He stood there, reedied and disheveled, demanding, "Where's Clara? Give me back my Clara." Through the glass door, I frowned and looked at him like he was a madman. It turned out Clara had gone to Japan just before the earthquake. Suddenly it clicked, and I remembered that strange call, but I kept my expression calm and had security remove Leo. I told him, I don't care. She's your girlfriend now, not mine. The bad news came from Clara's parents, who told my parents and eventually reached me. Clara had followed the address from my last social media post where I'd mentioned watching the fireworks festival. Like carving a mark into a boat to find a lost sword, she was searching for me, calling Ethan, using a new SIM card to try and reach me. But all she got was a busy signal. She thought I was still angry and ignoring her calls, so she chased me down to the inn where I'd stayed. That's when the building collapsed. My mother sighed heavily as she told me the story, and I couldn't help but remember the girl who had shielded me during the earthquake in middle school, helping me escape the collapsing classroom. A mix of emotions stirred within me. This time, Clara hadn't made it out. She had been crushed, her legs shattered. Whether she'd ever walk again was uncertain. Over the phone, my mom cautiously asked, "Son, are you going to visit her?" I shook my head. When there was no response, I realized she couldn't see me, so I said, "No, Clara and we have nothing to do with each other anymore." After hanging up the phone, I looked out the window. This was another new and unfamiliar country. What beautiful sights would I find here? I was looking forward to it. As for the past, the events of yesterday die with yesterday. The events of today are born anew. I hope everyone finds the courage to flip the table and start over.